Greetings, Otaku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, it's Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all my anime favorites for July 2012, right here on Otaku Assemble! Weekly, as always, I'm here to bring you the latest in this month's anime favorites. And for July 2012, I'm dedicating this month to my eighth favorite anime of all time, and that is Cowboy Bebop. Just like all my other anime favorites, I'm going to give you all a brief rundown before we get into the rest of the topics for this video. So, starting off, and I will also be referencing the official Cowboy Bebop Wikipedia page. Cowboy Bebop is an acclaimed 1998 Japanese anime series developed by Sunrise. It featured a production team led by director Shinichirō Watanabe, screenwriter Keiko Nobumoto, character designer Toshihiro Kawamoto, mechanical designer Kimitoshi Yamane, and composer Yoko Kanno. The 26 episodes, or sessions, of the series comprise a complete storyline set in the year 2071. It follows the adventures, misadventures, and tragedies of a bounty hunter, or cowboy, crew traveling on the Bebop, their spaceship. Cowboy Bebop also explores several philosophical concepts, including existentialism, loneliness, and existential inunity. I think that's how you pronounce that. Anywho, so that's pretty much a brief description of the series. Now, jumping into my favorite characters, heroes, and villains. Cowboy Bebop is a unique series. It's a very unique anime, especially for me, because for the most part, the majority of the cast I actually do like. And there are very few characters in the series that I disliked. Off the top of my head, I can't even think of any. But as far as who are my favorites, my favorite hero by far would have to be Spike Spiegel. Spike is a very unique character in the sense that while he does kind of follow the traditional format of the let me see, what is the term I'm looking for? What is it? The redemption hero. Spike kind of falls within the lines of the redemption hero in that Spike had Spike had a past that many would frown upon. Spike was part of a criminal organization, and he did things that weren't very becoming of him. But after the tragedy that befalls Spike, and we do see within the episodes throughout the series that Spike is kind of on this road to redemption, and that kind of sets the stage for his entire character arc. He also carries with him, although he does not exercise it at times, he carries with him this sort of sagedom. Many times throughout the series, Spike conducts himself in a manner, or he speaks in a manner that is more along the lines of beyond his age. Beyond his age, Spike has that sort of wisdom about him that would suggest that he's a lot older than he really is. And I think that just has more to do with Spike's kind of new outlook on life due to all the events that happened in his past, which I also enjoy. Just a couple of more things that I like about Spike. Spike is a practitioner of Jeet Kune Do as well as Aikido. His martial arts fighting style is very loose and interpretative in that manner. He's also voiced by Stephen Bloom, who's one of my favorite English voice actors. And so all those things kind of correlate into Spike being my favorite hero. Now, as far as my favorite villain, hands down would have to be Vicious. Vicious, I absolutely loved him since the first time I saw him. And being Spike's main rival and main antagonistic character in the series, I think for all the reasons that I like Spike, but then also because his motives and whatnot differ, Vicious provides that necessary counterforce that Spike needs. And when the best way I can describe Spike and Vicious relationship is like a dance. And when each partner leads, the other one follows. And it's kind of this continuous dance that Spike and Vicious are in that makes the story that much better and that much enjoyable. And as I said, least favorite characters, I can't really think of any. Because everyone has something to contribute, and I like all the other characters for different reasons. You know, when you're talking about Jack, when you talk about Faye, when you talk about Edward, even Edward. I know some people don't really care for Edward because she's not as mature as all the other characters, and she's the comic relief. She's very silly, and I've heard arguments that doesn't really belong in this series. But I would argue against that because it's her lightheartedness that kind of brings about, you know, the change of pace that the series needs at times. So I think she's a very essential part to the series. Like I said, other than that, I can't really think of any. I can't. So moving on to the next, my favorite story arc, which this is a little bit more difficult to determine, because the thing with Cowboy Bebop is that it's very episodic. They have either 1 or 2 episode stories, and that's it. I think the only story that may be longer than 2 episodes is the finale. I think the finale is actually 3 episodes. I could be wrong about that. But most of the story arcs are they're either standalone 1 episode stories or they're 2 episode stories. My favorite ones, my favorite one would probably be the last one, and that's because that's the one where we find out what happened between Spike and Vicious. We really get a look into Spike's background, and then of course that's Spike's final confrontation with Vicious and with the organization. It's pretty much everything coming to a head. But also by that point in time, by the end of the series, the other characters kind of get into it also. And not by much. I'm not saying that they're as involved as Spike is, but you know, Jack, Faye, especially Faye, because Faye is the one who kind of relays the message that gets Spike into the action. They kind of get more involved in it. And actually by this point in time, Edward's actually been taken out of the story by then, because Edward's been written out of the story by then. So it kind of sets the stage for the main, you know, the big climactic ending. That and Jupiter Jazz, the 2-parter. Those 2 are probably my favorite stories. Other ones, just off the top of my head, and unfortunately I'm not able to actually quote the episode titles, but I know I think one Sympathy for the Devil, I think is the name of one. That's the one with the kid who kind of had that immortality bit. I think that's the name of that one. Another one would be, I can't remember the name of it. It's the one with the cult, and when Spike has the conversation with the cult leader. That one was I think that's probably the best written episode in the entire series, and that's definitely one of my favorites, because when I saw that, I had to watch it twice because I was like, damn. I really did like that episode. I'm trying to think of another one. The one with Faye's backstory, I like that one too. I think that one was really well done. Yeah, off the top of my head, that's the ones I can come up with so far. Least favorite, story or episode, I can't really think of one. It might be the one with, what was the character's name? I think it was Andrew was the character's name? Something like that. The episode with the other cowboy, the blonde-haired guy who kept hitting on Faye and who kept butting heads with Spike when they were both searching for the same, they were after the same bounty. And it's not that I don't even like that episode. It's that I thought that the other cowboy was a tad bit obnoxious. But like I said, that's a pet peeve. That doesn't have anything to do with it being a bad episode, because it wasn't. It was a good episode. Like I said, this series is rare in the fact that every episode was good. It's just that me personally, if I had to pick a least favorite episode, that would probably be the one. And why is it my favorite? Well, Cowboy Bebop is my favorite because Cowboy Bebop was the first mature anime that I ever saw. I saw Cowboy Bebop for the first time back in 2002. And back then, my exposure to anime was limited to either the kid-friendly series, such as like Pokemon, Digimon, Monster Rancher, and Metabots too, and Yu-Gi-Oh! I was either exposed to that or I was exposed to the more action-oriented series like the ones that were on Toonami. So Cowboy Bebop was actually the first one I ever was introduced to that was for more mature audiences. And its themes, I think, emphasize that it was, you know, it was pretty much my first introduction into what would be the types of anime that I would venture off to in the later years, because I think I was 12 going on 13 first time I saw it, so I was just at that phase where I wanted more adult oriented anime. Also, but like I said, it's a really well done series. Every episode is well written in my opinion. The dialogue's very well done, voice acting top notch, and the music is phenomenal. The music is great. I love the music. I have the soundtrack, and it's great from start to finish. The animation quality is very well done, especially considering that this was in 1998. I think the animation holds up pretty good. And final thoughts. Another reason why I was able to get into Cowboy Bebop the way I did was that when I first got introduced to the series, it reminded me a lot about Outlaw Star. For any of you all who haven't seen my anime favorites for Outlaw Star, check that out so you can know my thoughts on that series. But by the time I got to Cowboy Bebop, I felt like Cowboy Bebop was like the next step. It's like, oh, this reminds me of that series, but it has all of these other things which make me more interested in this now. You see what I'm saying? And I think for the most part, I would probably even argue that Cowboy Bebop is one of those first series like that for me, where it reminded me of another series I liked, and because of that, it made me want to watch that. And then I became a fan of that series in its own respects. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up my anime favorites for July 2012, Cowboy Bebop. I want to thank you all for joining me again this week. And as in regards to the anime favorites, let's see. I think that brings us to number 8 on my top 10 favorites, which means number 9, the next one, would be Death Note. Yeah, that's going to be my next anime favorites. Death Note. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Other than that, I'll wrap this up with a few announcements. Next week kicks off my summer 2012 schedule, where the discussion of the week and Comic Book Hollywood are coming back. They're coming back as weekly segments starting next week. And then I will begin my Smallville season reviews. For starting next week, for the next 10 weeks, I will be reviewing each week a season from Smallville. So Discussion of the week, Comic Book Hollywood, and Smallville season reviews popping off next week. And also, I'm not sure if I'm speaking a little bit too early, but for those of you all who follow my channel, and especially for those of you all who follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/otakuassemble, keep an eye out because there will be announcements regarding my comic book. Will be coming out throughout the month of July and the month of August because we are steadily approaching our official release date of September. So keep an eye out for that because I will be making announcements, and soon I will actually unveil what the comic book actually is, and so you all will know about that. But with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I'm signing off, and until next week, peace.